Alrighty, I see that we're live.
That we is.
Oh, you had it quite a bit. Heck yeah. Oh, I didn't even notice that. Kane Mack. Oh no. Did he come in as the backup?
Yeah, I think, or like just as a running quarterback.
Oh man.
Please hold. There's
Mm.
some beeping at the office.
Hmm.
Well, whatever it is, it stopped, so
Nice.
we can get going.
Okie dokie. Hello and welcome to the Warrior House podcast, where Warrior Pride lives. I'm your host, Ryan Reingart, joined by my co-host, Mike Sangster. Thank you for joining us on episode 102 of the Warrior House podcast. Well, Sangster, we got some good, we got some bad.
Yeah, so some bad things are happening in the world right now. It's Wednesday, 9/10/2025. If you haven't heard the news, Charlie Kirk got I'll call it what it is, assassinated at a college in
Well,
Utah. But so obviously our thoughts and prayers go to his family, everyone involved with that, with Turning Point USA as well. Real shame what happened, but not at least at the Warrior House. There might be bad things happening in the world, but not here. We got some
yep,
things
exactly.
to look back on that happened at Wayne State still.
Yeah, a lot of sports, we've had a couple of episodes come out now, and this is the first one where we get to recap what has happened over the first week. And that is again some good stuff, some stuff that we would like to see improve upon. And we'll see as the fall season goes on. But let's just get right to it, Sangster. Let's talk a little bit about football. We were so happy to see football come back. A lot of changes happening with the coaching staff, with some transfers coming in, similar opponents, all of that sort of stuff. But um, I'll just kind of start out with it and saying, like, kind of felt a little bit like last year to start. Wayne State takes on Tiffin to begin the season as opposed to going to Tiffin, Ohio. Wayne State hosts Tiffin, and it went really, really not well.
It did not.
Tiffin ends up winning this one 34-7.
Yeah, just for
Yeah.
reference, last year Wayne State lost at Tiffin 31-17. So kind of a little bit about the same old what we got. What wasn't the same was who started this game. Braden Seary, as we mentioned in the game notes last week, he did indeed start the game. There was no trickeration with that. Uh, and I'm gonna admit I was a little bit bamboozled with the idea of a new quarterback coming in, uh, changing up what this offense was. And there were some moments I think where, yeah, maybe he wasn't the guy to start this game. I think maybe a little more unfairly than what Coach Wheatley had pointed out in his post game interview over what happened during the game. But at the end of the day, between three different quarterbacks, everyone running the ball, Wayne State manages just 135 total yards of offense, passing, running the ball. Over half of that happened when Champion Edwards did come in as quarterback in the second half of the game as the third quarterback coming in.
Yeah. Really, so we kind of recapped what happened in last week's episode. We recapped what happened with the Wayne State game against Tiffin last year,
Yeah.
and it was really bad for 3 quarters. And that fourth quarter came around, we started to make a little bit of a push. It didn't end up getting as close as we would have liked. Obviously, we would always like to win. And in this game, I mean, at any point did it ever feel like we were in this game? To me, no. Like, it was the whole first half. We weren't even close. I believe it was 20-0 at halftime, if I'm not mistaken. So at that point, you're three scores out of the game. And like you mentioned, Champion Edwards comes in, which I'll be the first to admit I'm a huge Champion Edwards fan. I was so happy to see him. I was a little bit bummed when the media guide came out for this first game, and Braden Seary and Justin Cox were the first two names on that quarterback depth chart. If they earn it, they earn it. Fine and dandy. But that doesn't mean I was a little bit sad to see Champion Edwards wasn't on there. But hearing Coach Tyrone Wheatley say, like, hey, this is going to continue going on. This assessment of us looking over all of the quarterbacks is going to continue. So expect Braden Seary and Justin Cox and Champion Edwards to get time. Well, it turns out they all got time. And turns out Champion Edwards looked the best of all of them on paper, especially. But like watching the game, Sangster, I know you have some thoughts on the way that the game unfolded and how the substitutions came about at the quarterback position. But now looking back at it, I mean, it's really hard to make the argument in my mind that Champion Edwards did not look the best of the three options at quarterback. And again, especially looking at the box score at the end of the day, that one really, really shows that he held it for a while.
Yeah, no doubt that he's probably the most dynamic player at the quarterback position right now. Pretty clear that Braden Seary is your prototypical pocket passer type of guy. Uh, you brought up at halftime if you felt that Wayne State could still win this game. I'm going to push back a little bit on that and say that yeah, at the third quarter, and we're going to jump around to defense right now. The third quarter for this defense was exceptional. They gave up, I'm going to check the notes here, absolutely 0 points in the third
Yeah.
quarter. Uh, the flip side of that is unfortunately Wayne State couldn't get much going offensively either, but that's really where it goes back to what Coach Wheatley has said about uh, when the offense can't get going, it really puts a bind on the defense. And yes, the defense had given up some points, and the special teams had given up points in that first half of the game as well. But I did still think there was a chance for Wayne State starting in the second half, and really after that first touchdown. You're going up. It's the beginning of the fourth quarter. Uh, you're down, but you're down less than two scores. It's 20-7. If your defense keeps doing what it had been doing in that third quarter, and you figure out the offense can maybe get a couple more drives together, yes, there way for 5 yards. And I think that the two other passes weren't, he was not put in the best position to excel for Wayne State here. And let's just look at the first series. First play of the game, it's a play action pass. He makes the fake handoff, and then there's a guy right in his face. So either there was a breakdown, I think either the running back might not have picked up the guy if he was supposed to, or maybe somebody on the O line didn't get him. After that, Wayne State has a substitution penalty, back up another 5 yards. He completes the screen pass for 5 yards, but then it's 3rd and 17 in your own red zone. He ends up throwing an incomplete pass. The guy he threw it to didn't look like he was going to get a first down, even if he caught it. Unfortunately, the video was not zoomed out far enough. I couldn't see who else might have been open on the play. But for 3rd and 17, your own red zone, there's really not a whole lot in the playbook that's going to be successful there. It
No,
can't.
that's one of those situations where an offensive coordinator is looking for 5 yards, just giving the punter a little bit of room, or if you can break something loose with something over the middle with a slot guy, Angel Carrillo, for instance. So yeah, no, that's a fair point.
Yeah, and then it goes on to there was one other drive in the first quarter that Braden played. Uh, and it was all running, getting up to about midfield until he comes in at 3rd and 2. And whatever the play call was, it was definitely a deeper play call. I see Angel Carrillo, who he threw it to, he beats his cornerback. He's getting past the safety as well. It's just an overthrown ball. I believe that also Drew Hickmott, who we'll talk about a little bit later, he did come open on a curl route, but I think either Reed would have been would have been fine for the play that was called. If there was a guy coming in wide open in the middle of the field, maybe 3 yards up to get you the first down and didn't make that, okay, then we have a discussion. But I don't think it was all uh, on Braden here. I will say that putting in Justin Cox in second, that might not have been the move. It might look that way in camp, but I think the stats were a lot worse than what we saw in that first quarter. So either way, we get past that and we get now looks like Champion Edwards is going to be the starter moving forward.
Yeah, I guess that's a fair point. And I will kind of backstep on what I said a little bit of because, of course, I'm sitting in the stands, at the home opener for a Wayne State game on a Thursday under the lights against a team that we feel like we should be able to compete with. So yes, there was a part of me that was definitely like we could probably come back in this game. So I kind of let my judgment right now as I'm sitting here think back, like, of course there was no way we were coming into it. No, there was part of me that said we could possibly do this, but
I'm right there with you. Don't
realistically,
worry.
now with that clear mindset, like that, the offense that we showed in that first half was not putting up any points. Something was going to have to change in order for us to start, getting down the field for goodness sake. Like just get beyond the 50, which we didn't really do a whole lot of that. It wasn't until the second half that we started moving the ball quite a bit. Defensively, though, for me, Sangster, it's really, really hard to say that this team, that the defense didn't show up to play because in my mind they did. Early on in the game, they forced a goal line fumble, recovered the ball to keep Tiffin out of the end zone. Unfortunately, the offense takes over and they do nothing with it. Like so, I mean, the defense does what you at the very least, they do what you expect a defense to do. Don't give up points. Wherever it is that you stop the team and get the ball, let's keep our expectations reasonable and not to say force three and outs all the time, but like you kept them out of the end zone and you gave your offense the ball without giving up any points. That's a great thing to do. Unfortunately, like you said, the offense wasn't able to make anything happen there, but it just we won the turnover battle. I know that for sure. So, credit the offense a little bit there, while you were basically going for a lot of the game, not really anywhere on the field. You didn't give the ball up. Defensively, you got the ball a couple of times. So there's a couple of things in there that were like they do speak to me like that is a good thing. But man, you got a stagnant offense. Like it's going to be really, really hard to win some of these games. And especially one last point, thanks, and I'll throw it back
Yep.
to you to talk about some individuals. The hard part is, and we've talked about this before, when the offense isn't moving the ball and they're not sustaining drives, your defense doesn't get that much of a rest. So yeah, the final score was 34-7, but that time of possession for that first half was really, really not great for Wayne State. The overall game, it was a little bit closer to not quite 50-50, but it was a little bit more balanced because Wayne State was sustaining some drives in that second half, but that first half was rough.
Yeah, a rough first half, I think, for both sides of the ball. Overall, this defense gave up 27 points. Unfortunately, there was also the special teams return touchdown, which you just can't give up. But yeah, 27 points, it's not outstanding, but that's should not be insurmountable for a college football offense. And again, maybe if Wayne State gets some points earlier on in the game, maybe the defense isn't out on the field as much. The one offensive drive that Wayne State had that resulted in a touchdown was about an 8-minute drive. So that's it's definitely what helps your time of possession there. And those kind of drives are awesome when you're trying to, keep a lead or, at the end of the day, keep another opposing offense from scoring at the end of a game. Uh, when you're behind, man, those are tough. But Wayne State did show that they can have some success running those kind of long plays. And really, that first half defense just it unfortunately wasn't there. Aside from the forced fumbles, Logan McGraw, he had an outstanding game. He had not one but two forced fumbles. That one at the goal line and another at midfield. Also, Maximus Edwards. He had a critical sack in the third quarter to force a punt there in that Tiffin scoreless third quarter that they had. Uh, but also in that first half, there were just numerous times where third and long, second and long, that defense just couldn't get off the field either. So yes, the offense not being able to score plays into it, but also there were some mistakes that were made on Wayne State's defense.
Yeah, no, that's a very fair point. So again, some goods and some bads in there. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the scoreboard was bad. Like a 34-7 loss is, really tough. We could look at the pros and cons. The pro is, well, it's not a conference game. And I remember, I'm just thinking back to last season, we kept saying that. And then we got to conference and it was like, well, this is, so we've done this song and dance before. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that. There's a lot of games to go. We've talked about what this season means for the coaching staff, for the program as a whole, I would say, to an extent. A couple of things here, though. I think for me, a very tragic part of this game is a really, really good crowd showed up to see a not so great game. And I think I was looking at some of the attendance that last year, if I'm not mistaken, homecoming was against Saginaw Valley, and that had a slightly, and I mean a slightly larger crowd than this one, and that's homecoming. So that's how many people showed up to this one. The entire athletics department was there. All the teams were there. A lot of fans were there. It was under the lights. It was, not necessarily a complete new beginning for the team, but a lot of new names, a lot of, huge opportunity in front of you, and it was pretty short-lived. Really quickly, people kind of got out of this game, and that's a really tragic part about it because we just talked about it last week. Sangster is like, this is your opportunity to show your home fans, the fans of your team that wear the W shield, that this team is for real. This team is able to play. Just didn't show it.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head exactly. That this was a prime opportunity right now for the team to show up for some. Not saying that they need to show up for the fans, but certainly having that fan aspect is a big part of college football, and it, it just did not happen last Thursday. Some bright spots that we did get were, I think you mentioned, from some newer faces on offense. Devon Bentley is your leading rusher, probably wouldn't have gotten if champion had played the whole game, but last he had 13 attempts. He rushed for 51 yards, about 3.8 yards a carry. Champion Edwards probably still the best runner. And again, they might not have been preparing necessarily for him. They might have been preparing more for a Braden Seary type player who's going to pass the ball. He averaged about 4.9 yards a carry. Justice Tuggle, he only carried the ball twice, but he also gained 15 yards on that. So awesome stuff from him. Xavier Tyus didn't have the best day. He was five attempts, 11 yards. Uh, but then you could see the other two quarterbacks rushing sacks, not great. Also on the receiving end, more new names. Drew Hickma, redshirt freshman coming out of the University of Michigan. He gets Wayne State's lone touchdown of the day. He was also 3 for 37. Longest reception was a 17-yarder. Also, Angel Carrillo and then Devon Bentley, like we said before, also caught some balls. And then Justice Huggo, who's been on the team a couple of years, also caught some balls. So new names all around. And I guess we're just going to have to see what these guys can do. And there's still some names that we haven't seen come out on the stat sheet yet that it's still a long season. There's prime opportunities for anybody on this team that can get some production.
Yeah, and this team's going to look different next week, and I think that's an exciting, but also, I mean, the team's going to look completely different next week for good reason. We got to change some things. We got to make sure that we're bringing something to the table that that our opponents either don't expect or just don't know how to compete with, and you have to change things up. Last season coming in with 2-9 record, you got to keep changing some things. So on one hand, like it's good, we're throwing something different at the opposing teams, but on the other hand, we're changing things up because what we're doing is not working. So at some point, I really would hope to see that this team can start to get some traction. You got a guy like Drew Hickmott out there. You got a guy like Champion Edwards out there. You got some guys on defense that can do some things. We got 2 tough weeks coming up, and I know we're going to talk about the upcoming week here in the second half. But like you're exactly right, Sangster. There are definitely some opportunities. So we'll talk about football here in the second half. But let's scooch along here. A couple more exciting sports here to talk about. Let's start out with cross country. We'll kind of chat about them really quick. So both the men and women's cross country team, they were out at the was this Hillsdale, if I'm not
Yep, it was
mistaken.
Hillsdale.
Yeah, the Hillsdale Invitational. I really should know the name of this right off the top of my head. Yeah, Hillsdale Invitational. That's exactly right. So both of those teams were out at that event. Both teams took first place. I think out of a total of three teams there, so it was a smaller event, but nonetheless, you know, especially on the women's side, saw a lot of turnover there. On the men's side, saw a little bit of turnover in that team. Both of them come away with first place finish here. Talking about some of the names though, on the men's side, Glenn Davis ends up with second place finish, and Jared Platt ends up taking fourth. He was almost third place. I think he got fourth place by like a tenth of a second, like that close. So like if you blink, that's how much he got missed third place by. So just that close. And then looking over on the women's side, Hillsdale, a runner from Hillsdale did take first place. After that, Wayne State took second through seventh. So didn't quite sweep, but like they got first place because nobody else was even close. Like, here you go, Hillsdale. You can take your, top individual, fine and dandy, fantastic run. But, Wayne State collectively just performed extremely well in that event and were able to walk away with first place team finish.
Yeah, I saw that Wayne State was competing against both Hillsdale and Spring Arbor University. Again, no stranger to Hillsdale. They've been in the GLIAC before, now in the GMAC, but still a fairly local team that they can go compete against. And yeah, it's exactly what happened. Wayne State swept these guys, and just looking to build more and more on this season until we get to. It's going to be long, but what gets to what matters is the GLIAC championships. These teams are still picked to end up pretty high in the conference, and it all starts now. And getting off on a great start like this, winning these events, I think they can only go up from here.
Yep, spot on. Volleyball, Sangster, this might be the team of the fall. And like there's a lot of teams within
100%.
Wayne State that are performing very well and that are going to continue to perform very well, and they absolutely should. I think this volleyball team has a serious chance to be something else. They definitely this coming weekend have a huge opportunity in front of them to take on some big time opponents. But this last weekend really started to show why I think they're going to be something special. And I think, and I put a couple of things out on our socials that if your eyes are not on this volleyball team, they should be because they are a special team. Four games, Sangster, or I'm sorry, game set match, four matches over Friday and Saturday, four wins. Who did they take on? What happened?
Well, they first took on Upper Iowa and they shut them out. It was the 3-0 win. Absolute bowl out by Wayne State. Next, they took on uh, GMAC opponent Northwood. Got a 3-1 win. Looks like here that Northwood was in it for about three sets that Wayne State won, and this one might have been closer than the final score would show. But Wayne State, they roll on. They go into Saturday. They get a 3-1 win over Cedarville, I believe, out of the GLVC. Cedarville had taken the first set. Wayne State ran the table from there, and finally they got a little bit more of one you had to sweat out. A 3-2 win over Winona State. Wayne State takes set one. They dropped 2 and 3. They barely got set 4, and then they managed to win set 5 in extra points. A bit of bonus volleyball for that match over there.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those like that one in particular really stood out to me because I remember I think I had pulled up the stats right around the third set, maybe the fourth set, and I saw that Wayne State was down. I was like, okay, well, worst comes to worst, they leave the home weekend 3-1 record. That's still pretty good. And then I think the next morning, because I had something going on that day, I checked back in and saw that they won. I was like, oh goodness, like you're down. You had to fight tooth and nail to win set number four. And then, like you said, set five goes into extra points, and Wayne State was able to win that one. That was pretty impressive to me. So sweep the weekend, 4-0 record to start out the season. Let's talk about a couple of names here, though. So we're familiar. Kayla Giroux had a outstanding weekend. She actually ended up getting her 1,000th career kill for Wayne State. So, for those not familiar in volleyball, if you hit the ball straight down, you're on offense, you hit the ball straight down, there's nobody returns it, whatever, that's a kill. So she's gotten a lot of those. So good on her. But it looks like Paige Geitbrock, that's a newer name for Wayne State, at least when it comes to the box score. She could be a name that we continue to mention throughout the season. She also was, pretty high up in the score sheet for all of these matches. So fantastic for her. And one last name, of course, Kayla Dolger. How could we talk about Wayne State volleyball without her? Led the team with the assists. Seems like she got very, very little time off the court. So she was out there quite a bit, really just trying to figure out because the team's changed a little bit, not a ton, but a couple of new players out there since we had a few, like Molly Miller, I know graduated and moved on from the team. So a couple of new names out there, just getting kind of familiar with the flow of the team, especially in competitive action. But Kayla Dolger left off or picked up right where she left off, and that is digging the ball out of the dirt, the mat, essentially, and making it to where your team can, take it from there. Someone could set it up, and your outside hitter, inside hitter, whatever, can hit it down, get your team points. So, very exciting team. I'm pretty high on them. Very excited to see what happens. And again, this coming weekend, I think is going to tell a lot about this team. Pretty excited to talk about that.
Yeah, and it's a massive start for them especially compared to last year. You look, they competed in two different invitationals, including the Warrior Invitational, uh, to start the season last year. At the Warrior Invitational, they were 1-2. At the Hampton Inn Invitational in Parkside, they were 1-3. So they started the season 2-5. You're already starting the season now 4-0 on your home court again, and you've already beat two teams that you lost to last year, Northwood and Upper Iowa. Both were close losses, 2-3, and you flipped the script this year and you beat them fairly handily. So this team is starting to already look like they're going to meet projections. I think they can exceed them. Obviously, we'll know more when we get into GLIAC play. There will be another invitational for them to compete in first. I will be talking about later in the episode, but so far it's an excellent start for the Wayne State volleyball season.
Absolutely. Super excited for this team. Again, I'll say it for those who don't follow us on our socials, if you or on X or any of the sites, if you are not paying attention to this team, try to make it out to a match if you can. And if you can't follow along with them, stream it, follow in the box score, whatever works for you. This is a team worth following. I'm telling you right now, this is a team that has the opportunity to go very far as they approach postseason. Of course, I don't want to talk too far ahead, but I'm just saying, just to like give you an idea of how I'm feeling about this. That's how I feel about this team. So very exciting there. Last but not least, men's golf, Sangster. The men's golf team was at. I should really start to put the actual name of the events in these notes here.
The Glenmore
Uh,
Fall Invitational.
Yep, there you go. The Glen, yep, exactly. In Malone, or hosted by Malone down in Canton, Ohio. This was a 2-day event, 3 rounds. So day one consists of 2 rounds, day two consists of 1 round. And kind of before we talk about what ended up happening with this team in this event, for those who don't recall, this team had the utmost turnover of athletes. Like the names that we'll mention here in just a minute are very, very new names. What they had last season, like basically nobody returns for this team. I think with the exception of maybe one name that we talked about quite a bit. That's the extent of it. So when they go to, Canton, Ohio for the Glenmore Invitational with like, I think 11 teams, Wayne State finished second. A very prime example of a well-coached team, a well-recruited team, and it's just one of those like what do you call it? Uh, like rebuild, like kind of like rebuilding, not so much, but like when you like
Reload.
replenish and rebuild is what I don't know what I'm trying to say, but essentially that. Looking at round one, Wayne State was leading about halfway through, and this was when I checked in for the first time, right around about noon on Monday. And Andrew Daly for Wayne State, he was leading the way. So again, newer name that we've kind of mentioned on this. And then Josh Laner was looking pretty good through round one, with the exception of a quad bogey. I think he got a quadruple bogey, which for Sangster and I would be probably the best hole that we play that entire day.
Oh, for sure.
Uh, with the exception of that, he would be, very high up in the standings, but that one hole kind of pulled him back a little bit. And then, collectively, like I mentioned, this team finished second as a whole. I want to say it was like 2, maybe 3 strokes team score out of first place behind Hillsdale, if I'm not mistaken, Sangster. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
pretty, I mean, pretty cool. I mean, like I said, like we're mentioning some names that we haven't really talked about before. And Mike Horn's like, here's the thing. What you're going to do this season is play really well. and that's it. And
You're
that's
gonna
what
go
they did.
you're gonna go play better than those Warrior House guys. Yeah. Overall in the top five, Wayne State again finishes second, behind Hillsdale, about 4 strokes over them. Then there's a bit of a gap. Ashland finishes uh, 9 strokes over Wayne State, then Ohio Dominican 9 strokes over them, and IUP about 3 strokes. Uh, for the record, Malone, who hosted the event, they finished 10th. So probably would be us if we were hosting, but you know. Uh, Overall, great stuff from this Wayne State men's golf team. Again, like you said, in a reloading, rebuilding type year for them. So coming out against competition you're going to see. I think we saw Ashland in NCAA's last year. So awesome stuff from these guys.
Yeah, I was just trying to look really quick because I didn't see a preseason coach. I don't know if they do preseason coaches polls for the golf
For
teams. Because again,
the,
like the funky thing about golf is the cool thing about golf is you get to play it in the fall and the spring. What could beat that?
yep,
And their season does happen between the two of them. So I don't know if it's one of those things that maybe comes out next year. I don't know if it comes out at all, but right off the bat, just seeing this team able to compete at a high level with a whole new fleet of players and continue on with where they left off is fantastic to see. So a little bit of a short season for them. I know we'll be talking about them here in the second half, but definitely want to call out that like that's a very impressive first golf outing for this team.
absolutely.
So with that, Sangster, is there anything that we missed over the last week? Anything worth calling out?
I think we're good.
All right. So with that, we'll take a quick break. And when we come back, we got another pretty packed slate of events coming up here. So we'll be right back to talk about all of it.
Let's see, what did Finley do?
Okay. Oh, you're looking up Finley stuff.
Yeah, I think we're good though.
Yes. Yeah, make sure we're not missing anything. Because I'm almost positive the women's golf was supposed to have something last week, and either that event got pulled or I don't know.
Or we're just crazy.
I could be. Okay. Yep. I am.
Oh yeah, they didn't do the Cardinal Cup.
Yeah, that was in the schedule. Okay. Yep. I am good when you are.
It's not even on must have canceled it. It's not even on
Hmm.
Signal Valley's site.
Well, dang. Yeah, must have been.
Yep.
Or it was planned once upon a time, or yeah, because I was like, oh, what happened in that one? And I was like, it didn't even exist.
Saginaw Valley
Alrighty.
gaslighting us.
Yeah, honestly. All right, let's get this going.
Sweet.
And we're back. So let's let's talk some more football, Sangster. I don't think it's necessary for us to say what we want to see happen this coming weekend, because of course it's a win. That's what we want to see. But Wayne State has a little bit of a tough away game coming up here, and that's heading on down to Findlay. And I remember I think we were talking to some folks over this this last week at the Wayne State football game, and it felt a little bit like a little bit of underestimating Finley. And I don't know because at the time that we were talking to people, we didn't really realize that Finley took down number 17 ranked UIndy by a score of 38-35, if I'm not mistaken. So pretty close game there. Finley might have something, Sangster, so that we might have another tough test in front of us. But as we talked about also last season, this team gets to get out of town a little bit. They get to get on a bus, drive down, 2 hours, whatever, however long it takes to get down to Findlay, and go and take on this team and see if the changes that we're making, a different game plan, maybe we see a little bit more success there.
Yeah, it is going to be a tough out though against Finley. Like you said, they had a massive game against UND, and really, it doesn't look like there was anything weird that happened in this game. Uh, let's see. Finley had a last minute and a half drive to go and win the game, but it was pretty even between both teams. So I'm going to retract exactly what I said. UIndy had a last minute and a half drive to make it a 3-point game, uh, but the onside kick didn't work for them. So it was a fairly even game between both. Finley led 38-28 with about a minute and a half to go. So and it's all behind their quarterback, whose name escapes me at the moment because I don't have his name pulled up. Chase Harrison, he was 14 for 19, 155 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also threw 2 interceptions. That might be something to look out for the Wayne State defense. But they run the ball and they run the ball well. They have a variety of the guys running. One guy was 11 attempts, 114 yards, nearly 10 yards per carry. Another guy, probably more their bruiser, 13 carries, 54 yards, about 4 yards per carry. And then they have a mix of guys in here that managed to get like 27-yard gains, 35 yards, 34 yards just on one carry. So looks like they have some guys that can, bust some coverages, get around, get some big gains on the ground. And they also spread the ball out receiving wise. One guy getting four receptions, another getting four, two, two, one, one. So seems like a balanced team that looks like they want to run the ball more. Going to be a challenge for Wayne State, but you know, it's your opponent, it's who you have on the schedule, and it's going to be Wayne State's job to stop them at their own house.
Yeah, and I wanted to pull up last year really quick because, you know, basically how a lot of last year's games went is the first half was rough for Wayne State. At halftime of that game against Finley last season, it was 35-3. So, at that point, it's pretty rough looking. And Wayne State ended up making it a little bit of a game, ended up losing that one 42-30, but they made quite a comeback in that second half. And just what you're saying, we saw a pretty balanced attack from Finley last season. 37 rushing attempts and 35 passing attempts. So it just feels like they're going to throw a balanced attack at you. Defensively, I don't know. I'm sure it's not a wild defensive look that they're giving to you. They're just relying on individual defensive players to kind of do what their assignment is. I will say I don't read defensive schemes as much as I do offensive schemes. But yeah, this is a little bit of a tough outing for Wayne State. I will say one of the things is, I already mentioned in the first half of this episode is I'm very happy to see Champion Edwards is seemingly going to get the start again. I think one of the things that will help this team is finding some sort of success, meaning, who is it that's running the offense on the field? And then, like, as a team, you get to like gel among that. And I do think like that's really kind of what started to speak to me last season is that team like started to know Champion Edwards is running the ball. Here's what he does. Here's where he goes. Here's kind of how he, operates a little bit. Here's how the ball moves with him out there. To me, that's what it seemed like. I don't know if that was actually realistic or not, but nonetheless, it just felt like things were going in a good direction. I remember making that comment a few times as the season was going on, that it seemed like the offense was moving with a little bit more, they were just moving the ball better. And I want to see that again at the very least. So, like seeing what I saw last week from the Wayne State defense, continuing some sort of success. For goodness sake, get some pressure, get to the quarterback, please. But if we can see some offensive success and we can see a defense that can hold their own, I do think there's a chance here. It just it stinks that we're not playing like Quincy this week. You know what I mean? Like it stinks that like we could start to build a little bit of momentum from last week and we have to go face what seems to be a tough team in their home. Yeah, in their home opener. Like this is their first home game for Finley this season because they went out to UIndy and won last week.
Yeah, and all the indications are that Champion Edwards had a really strong spring season. Again, for whatever reason, according to Coach Wheatley, that his fall camp must not have been as great compared to some of the guys that came in. But from what we saw, I even think in the last game, yeah, that he made a clear jump to be this guy coming in, understanding what this staff wants of him, what he has to do to be successful at Wayne State, and to help his team around him be successful. And yeah, maybe this is a young offensive line, young running backs that might not be able to pick up every single blitz, make every single block. A guy like him, he's able to be dynamic enough to get out of trouble and make some plays happen with his legs. Hopefully, I think there needs to be a little more downfield with him. He did lead Wayne State in passing and rushing last year. I think he can do more. I have no doubt that's in him, but I think it's going to rest on can he and not even scoring touchdowns, but just getting drives that we can get our kicker to make some field goals as well.
Yeah.
And this is
Uh,
going to be fresh for Wayne State too. It's their first game on the road this season. So what's that bus ride going to be like? Especially, you're already down early in the standings. What's going to happen? And on the fan side, you can watch this game on Flow Sports, kind of like it's always been the past couple years, or you can listen on the new Warrior Sports Network. If you haven't noticed, Wayne State was not on WDTK last year. Uh, they have elected to go in a new direction to a streaming only audio service, which is now the Warrior Sports Network. So a little bit of interesting stuff going on. It's for somebody that's old like me and has an actual honest to goodness radio in their house. The fact that you're not going to be able to hear it on terrestrial, but honestly, I stream a lot more radio nowadays anyway. So
So,
Wayne State
so
moved
here's a
into the 2025 realm, and has a new streaming platform for audio.
here's a question for you, Sangster. How many radios do you have that have aluminum foil on the tip of the antenna?
Zero.
Okay, well that's not good for content. I needed like five or like yeah, in the shop we
Okay.
got like two of them over there and like the D batteries are not good on one of
I
them.
do
So we
have the
just
D
don't use
battery.
that one. It sits in the bathroom or something.
I do have the D batteries, but no, the antennas are all working. I'd like to get one like for the outside of my house that you could plug in, but even though my house is kind of older, it never had that. So
So put it on a bulletin board. Sangster is old, but he's not that old. Um, yeah, yeah, that's definitely cool. I mean, unfortunately, life has changed just enough to where it's a little bit more difficult to get out to a lot of these away games. We are definitely planning on it, later on in the season, approximately at the very end of the season, we'll be at an away game. But we definitely do our best to make it to the home games. But it's nice to have some options when I can't make it to an away game, to be able to either watch it live or, listen in if I'm, doing any sort of other things, or at the very least, just be able to follow along with the box score. So
yep.
that's unfortunately what I'll be doing for this coming weekend, but hoping for a better showing this week. Win or lose, like let's just show some improvement. Let's show that we can get a little bit of stability in this team and start to see some things because we really got to dial this stuff in before we get to conference play. And again, I keep hearing last season like I'm talking into a seashell, and it's just like coming back at me saying like, yeah, would you at least it's not a conference loss. At least it's not a conference game. At some point, it's going to be, and at some point, we're going to be out of being able to say that, and other conversations will have to be had. So,
Yep.
uh, big opportunity coming up here. Uh, Hoping for good things for Wayne State, hoping for good outcome here, and a little bit of a better vibe from the Warrior House boys next week as we talk about that game.
Yeah, it's always a lot better to talk about a Wayne State win, but we're going to move on now to some teams that did win their tournaments last week out. The men's and women's cross country squads. They will be out both on Friday, September 12th, 2025, for the home, I guess you could call it, cross country match. It's the Warrior Challenge for both men's and women's. It's being held in New Boston at, uh,
Lower Huron Metro Park.
yep, I think they have an excellent golf course too. Just saying.
I
I think that's
think
where it's
they
going to
do.
be, actually. I think it's on the golf course.
Oh, I mean, I guess that wouldn't surprise me. If I can, one of
Yeah.
the cool things I saw about this, there's a student
I saw
bus
that too. Yeah. A student
taking
bus.
like if you want to go and like support the cross country teams because like cross country events aren't like wildly long. I mean, it's like I think they do a 5K and a 6K if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, like realistically, the entirety of this event is going to be like less than 2 hours, way less than 2 hours if I'm not mistaken. So like that's pretty cool. And like the fact that there's a bus going there, it's not that far. Like if you got nothing going on, or even if you do have something going on, get on a bus and do your studying on the bus, and then go down there, cheer, do some studying on the way back, and like bang, look at that. But I just think it's really cool that the athletic department, I assume it's the athletic department that's running this in collaboration with whoever. Maybe it's
Dean
DOSO,
of
maybe
Student
it's the
Office, I saw.
Okay, so it is the dean of students office. That's just really cool. I want to see more of that kind of stuff. Who knows how many people show up, but just like offering that as an option is very cool.
So I just checked. It's actually at it's close to Lower Huron. It's actually Willow Metro Park, and it's not going to be on the golf course. It's going to be in the picnic area. So
Oh,
bummer there. It's going to be a men's 8K and a women's 6K starting at 5 and 5:45. So again, Friday evening, if you're kind of in that area, it's a interesting thing to check out. Looks like the teams that will be there, if I can find that quickly, and I can't. So This is live radio, and I don't have there are going to be several Division 2 teams there, though, from what I saw in the notes here. So again, big opportunity for Wayne State. This is their, I guess, home course, so to speak. So exciting stuff. And I don't think I've ever heard of a student bus going out to a cross country meet, but it's an exciting opportunity, something that we didn't get to experience then, but a student can experience now.
Yep, absolutely. So I do think, for what it's worth, that this used to be held at Lower Huron Metro Park.
I wouldn't
Uh,
doubt it.
if I'm wrong, whatever. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. But yeah, good luck to the
Likewise.
cross country teams heading on down there. The men's golf team is also back in action. They're heading out to Allendale, Michigan. Believe it or not, that's where Grand Valley is. So that's who's hosting this one. And this is the Folds of Honor Challenge. And this is happening on Monday and Tuesday, September 15th and 16th. And you know, Grand Valley is usually one of the top teams in essentially all GLIAC sports. So like this is going to be one of those teams that we're kind of challenging against. And this is like that nice early season opportunity to look at how do we compete. And Sangster, maybe you have the teams that are going to be a part of this pulled up already, but maybe this is our opportunity to see how are we going to compete against some of these GLIAC teams. Are we going to be in that top echelon? We'll obviously see as we get in the spring season when a lot of this stuff actually gets you know fleshed out. And maybe they won't be there yet, but like this is like that really, really good opportunity. So, we talked about them in the first half. This team is basically rebuilding, but like they're immediately back to kind of where they were, where they're like a top competing team in the one event that they've had so far, but they're right up there. So like, do we expect the same?
I'd like to say yes. But we'll definitely find out after this competition. This is on Grand Valley's home course. Like you said, it's right next to their campus, which must be nice. But hey, we have a private course, an exclusive private course as our home turf. So eat it, Grand Valley. Uh, but in all seriousness, this is a course that it's often a site for GLIAC championships, often a site for NCAA Midwest regionals. I don't know if they've actually hosted a full golf championship yet, but definitely a course that maybe not this year, but in the next year or two, Warriors on this men's golf team that they will need to be familiar with because you're going to be competing there quite a bit over your Wayne State career.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I actually just happened to pull it up. Grand Valley and Wayne State are the only two GLIAC teams there. UIndy is there, Finley is there, and Lawrence Tech. They're there. So not as many GLIAC teams I would have expected to see, but that's okay. Definitely one of those events that like you said, we're gonna get a good look at this course. That it's possible that some events are going to be happening there as we get closer to uh, the spring season. All right, Sangster, let's do it. Let's talk volleyball. 4-0 overall record. No
Love
conference
to see
games
it.
yet, so sitting at a 0-0. But they have a huge, and I do mean a huge opportunity coming up this weekend. And this is the Wildcat Classic, hosted by, I assume it's Damon University, is how you pronounce that, in Amherst, New York. Those who don't know, I didn't know. Sangster knew, though. He threw it in the notes here for us. It's a suburb of Buffalo. Definitely is a high caliber tournament. Some high ranked teams, a lot of Southern teams. One in particular that we're going to be going up against, Dallas Baptist, is a highly ranked team in the D2 women volleyball ranking. So they kind of make it happen. And guess what? We get to face them right off the bat on Friday, September 12th. Wayne State takes on Dallas Baptist. Saturday, we got a doubleheader, and that's going to be actually the end of that tournament. So just a quick 2-day tournament. Take on Clarion and Damon University. Uh, that's pretty big. I mean, that's pretty big. Like I was just looking up Dallas Baptist volleyball, and I think Clarion as well, if I'm not mistaken. But Dallas Baptist is pretty big. So like this to me, like when I was looking through this, this feels like how are you on a national level? And again, I haven't really looked at exactly how Dallas Baptist is projected to finish this season. I'm going to assume it's pretty high based on like what I've kind of gathered from their previous seasons. But that feels like how do you compete on a national level. Are you good enough to be able to take a set? Are you good enough to be able to take two sets? Are you good enough to get into that fifth set and get it to extra points? Like, where are we going to compete there? That's what makes this weekend so exciting for me, Sangster.
Yeah, and again, because you get to compete against some Midwest teams, I know that Clarion definitely is. They compete with all the other Pennsylvania schools. Obviously, Dallas Baptist is very much in Texas, but also going against Damon, another school that I think should be in the region. I'm not sure, but either way, teams that you're close to, teams that, hey, you might see them in an NCAA tournament. Not sure. I did happen to have Clarion's schedule pulled up there, 2-2 right now. Unsure about the other teams, but it's still a big opportunity for Wayne State to go in, compete in one more non-conference invitational before conference play starts.
Yeah. So I will definitely be following along on the box score for, I mean, all of these. I mean, realistically, like I said, this to me is a very exciting team, and I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to make it to a couple of volleyball matches this coming season. Really follow along with this team, see some of these players that we've been talking the praises of for 2 seasons now. So, uh, yeah, I'm expecting big things from them. That first game I think is going to be a pretty big one. So that to me, like again, that tells me how serious is this team going to be, even beyond conference play.
Yeah, and basically, well, we've already had home opener, but home opener for conference play is going to be next week, September 19th. It's a Friday. Uh, Still should be warm enough outside that the Math gets to use air conditioning. Big stuff for there. And
That
hey,
nice
maybe
that nice new AC.
yep, and that might have been the difference this offseason, being able to train in a much more climate controlled Math Center.
It
So
is
for the last
entirely
sport,
possible.
entirely possible. So the last sport we got coming up for this week is the women's golf team. They'll be out again this Saturday and Sunday. Lots of teams out and about for Wayne State this weekend. They will be competing in the Women's Golf Champions of Women's Golf Classic in Columbus, Ohio. Big tournament for them. I'm about to see who they're competing against. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of different teams considering one year in Columbus. I think it's hosted by Ohio Dominican.
I
Uh,
think you're right.
and that would make sense. They were in Columbus. We went
Yeah,
once. Very
yeah,
sad.
yeah. Just kind of looking at this one, I see Purdue Northwest is on there. I see Davenport is on there. I see, of course, a lot of the Ohio schools: Tiffin, Walsh, Malone, Ashland, Ohio Dominican, of course, is the host. So a
Yep.
number of very, very Midwest teams. So like this is one of those like, we talked about Tingyu Kwa being the big name for this Wayne State women's golf team. This is one of those that you start to see how you line up against your region. And this is a very, very, very regional event here, just based on the teams that I see on here. This kind of sets you up for how do we compete against them? And again, I definitely know that it's way too early to be looking towards NCAA regionals or anything like that. But to me, this sets that baseline to where we're going to see a lot of these teams again in April, May, whenever that kind of stuff happens. But these are also teams that we're going to see, throughout the rest of the fall and into the spring that we're going to be competing against. So as we see what our final, scoring is for this one, how does that change against your Northwoods, your Kentucky Wesleyan, Glenville, Fairmont State? Like that's going to be kind of cool to see.
Yeah, it's going to be a big opportunity, I think, for this women's golf team again, looking to build on a very successful 2024 season.
Absolutely. So talk to me, Sangster. One thing that excites you over the coming week. What do you got?
I'm just excited to see again what this Wayne State football team can do. Unfortunately, like you, I also cannot make it to Finley as much as we would like to, as much as we'd like to reenact that November 1st, 2014 game. Maybe not saying nearly half the words we said back 11 years ago. That wouldn't be nice for 30-year-old dudes to say anymore. But uh, football just has an opportunity to you can't get much worse than where you were. And we've been saying about Wayne State football, unfortunately, for not even the past 3 years, for the past 5 years. But there's always an opportunity that next week to go out and look a lot better. And I believe it's within them that they can make it happen, and I think they just need to believe that they can make it happen too. And Finley's another opportunity for them to make it happen.
Yeah. I mean, of course I agree. I mean, everybody's been listening knows that we're in agreement on this. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think a win is exactly what we need here. I do think as the season progresses and, we're not stacking a lot of these wins, those wins are going to become much more needed. But in this one, if we can show that we really are for real and that things have changed from last season, we're not the 2-9 team, we're not the try to pull it together in the fourth quarter team, and we could like actually compete throughout the course of this game and show some things like this team's different, that'll excite me quite a bit. And if this Wayne State volleyball team, to me, if they can come back with a 2-1 record, I'll be very, very happy. If they can somehow manage another
Sweet.
undefeated weekend, my goodness. I mean, I will buy 8 billion shares of stock in Wayne State volleyball if they're able to do that, because that would be outstanding. I think they're going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, those are the two for me. And again, I think not so much sport related. It would be great to see a lot of Wayne State students, take that opportunity to go see these cross country teams just down the road, not that far away. So I think that would be kind of cool. But nonetheless, it's still cool that that opportunity is available, and I would love to see that to continue on.
Yeah, that'd be really awesome to see again, something that we didn't get to experience back when we were at Wayne State. So something new and exciting for these guys to get. Uh,
Yep.
and exactly what you said with volleyball, if there was some way to get to start conference play 7-0, you've put yourself in an extremely great position. Even no matter if conference play doesn't necessarily go the way you want it to, you're hoping that it does, especially considering the way they've been playing early in the season. But by winning so many games, and especially against teams in this Midwest region, you've put yourself in a really nice position to get that at large. But you still got to take care of business in the conference, but it's not going to be mission critical to say win it or win a conference tournament as much as we would like to see that happen.
Yep. 100%. So I know you said we're not that old. We don't have our aluminum foil wrapped radio antennas, but yeah, I mean, just seeing a lot of stuff going on around campus is very exciting. Athletics is in a really good spot. So uh, hopefully, we can be a little bit more joyful next week. Hopefully, we got a lot of good things to talk about next week. Best of luck to the athletes heading out to, it seems like pretty much everybody is heading out of town. So,
Yep.
good luck to everybody. Enjoy watching Wayne State Athletics. And with that, we thank you all for joining us on episode 102 of the Warrior House podcast.
And remember, it's always a great day to be a Wayne State Warrior.
All righty.
Okey-doke.
I will slap this link on Vizard, get some stuff. I'm going to